Howdy, folks. I'm humorous Hydrus, hurriedly heckling hateful hyenas.
I'm Amber.
And here are more hateful hyenas for us to heckle because that's what water snakes do. They heckle hyenas because there are an abundance of hyenas in the ocean, Amber.
They crawl up on land to heckle the hyenas.
Sure they do. Sure they do. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my husband that if he pays me my hourly rate, I will do more housework? I'm a steam fitter, but I've been at it for a while and I'm in supervision. With bonuses and incentives, but not counting benefits, I earn over $100 an hour. I also work out of town, and I started doing that once the kids were old enough to take care of themselves with their dad at home. So, when my youngest was in middle school and the oldest was in junior high school, it was great. Our retirement savings are piling up, and we have been able to splurge on the kids and ourselves. My husband is upset because I decided to pay for a cleaning lady. He and I discussed it, and we agreed that him and the kids don't do a great job at keeping the house clean and tidy while I was away. I hated coming home to a mess. It caused a few fights because it was like they expected me to come home and clean up after them. Having her is fantastic. I come home to a clean house and I am happier. My kids have more time to study and do extracurriculars. They still have chores and are still expected to clean up after themselves. My husband came to me last time that I was home and said that we should cut back on the services while I'm home, that I should do more housework. He thinks that we are wasting money. I said that I work 14 days in a row and that those are 13-hour days. Yes, it's mostly paperwork, but his job as a teacher isn't that much more physically challenging. I said that I could offer him two options. If he wanted, that we could completely get rid of the services and that him and the kids could make sure that the house was in good shape when I got home. Or he could pay me my hourly rate to do extra housework while I am on my days off. He is upset with me and says that I am being financially manipulative. I think that if he and the kids actually did what they were supposed to do when I was away, then none of this would be an issue. Alright, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely not the jerk. The audacity of this man. If he really wants to save money, he can do that housework. I like how he volunteers, like, oh, well, we need the housekeeper when you're not here, but once you're home, that's when we should get rid of her, and you should do all this housework to make up for times when you weren't even there.
I mean, how much more money do they need to save away for retirement? She's earning $100 an hour plus benefits, and then whatever the husband is earning, right?
Right, like this clearly feels like a power move. Like he feels emasculated because she out earns him, because teachers generally do not make $100 plus an hour.
Yeah, I mean, but even if we were to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, this is all about the money, there's not even a good monetary reason to make this argument, right? Because again, like you said, if he's really this interested in saving money, then he and the kids should pull their weight and actually clean while OP is gone.
Yeah, well, and that's why it feels to me more like a power move than anything. He wants to put her in her place, so to speak, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he could be jealous, he could be emasculated, he could feel like this is her punishment for being a high earner or something like that, that she should still be humbled or something like that. There are definitely those possibilities here. I think that OP and him should consider going into couples therapy. I think that this is a situation where they're going to have to actually sit down with a third party and discuss it. I mean, maybe he'll straighten up after this and be like, whatever, right? But I think this is just going to fester. I think there is something on his mind that's beyond just the, oh, I want to save money. And then maybe you two can end up working that out and actually resolving your differences.
Yeah, well, and I also think that the fact that the burden of saving money is on the person who is already making more money seems very strange to me too. Like, again, it just seems like he's looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think couples counseling would be a good idea. Hopefully Opie can get to the bottom of whatever is going on with him, because he's clearly not being honest here. It isn't just a money thing, it's something else.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And a thing under your bed says, so you can afford it, everything gets done, everybody has free time. Nobody has anything that they don't want to do. There aren't any fights over it. I mean, there's really no downside and everybody wins. Him getting upset because you said if the maid goes that he'll have to do his fair share is very telling. You're not home to make the messes, but you're supposed to work that much and come home and clean up after him just because he wants to save money while getting to sit on his butt. People like your husband always reinforce my decision to stay single, not the jerk. And Extra Lab 1366 says his pride is hurt that she makes more than him, so he isn't the provider. If my significant other working means that we can swing having a cleaner and more time for us, then let's go. Do it. And a raccoon in the sun says agreed. This is definitely about control more than it is about cutting costs. If OP is at home fulfilling a traditional gender role instead of her job, the family finances would suffer more than if they continue to pay a cleaner. OP, not the jerk, but your husband is. Also sexist at that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Giving My Wedding Guests a Dress Code? I'm a 29-year-old female, and I'm getting married to my partner, a 30-year-old male, and we have planned a fantasy Renaissance-themed wedding. We are both massive fandom nerds, books, video games, movies, comics, etc., and actually met at a Renaissance fair and wanted that to be part of our wedding. We discussed it with our close friends, and everyone thought that it was a great idea. So we sent out the invitations and attached a letter that explained why we wanted to have a themed wedding and examples of the types of things that we wanted people to wear. Just Google Renaissance Fair if you want to see. We included photos, descriptions, budget categories that went from how to DIY a costume to using old thrifted clothes to just straight out buying something online. We also asked people to reach out if they had any worries so that we could work something out. I have received a few messages from my closer friends saying that they've heard other people, including some of me and my partner's family members, calling me a bridezilla, saying that we are being unreasonable, that this is ridiculous, that they don't want to go if I'm going to get all up at arms over clothing. My soon-to-be mother-in-law, a 59-year-old female, and sister-in-law, a 26-year-old, is especially mad. I reached out to them after their names were mentioned, and they said that I am ruining what is supposed to be a happy day by demanding people dress up like weirdos. They said that everyone should be allowed to dress in what makes them comfortable, and that I am being very controlling. My partner says not to listen to them, but there are so many people saying it. I'm feeling pretty hurt by all this. I assumed that people would react like this if I said that everyone needed to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on costumes, but we went out of our way to include pictures and suggested as many very low budget options as possible. I honestly didn't think that this was going to be this big of a deal, but now I'm having second thoughts about the whole themed wedding idea. Am I the jerk? Edit 2. We put the invitation that we don't expect or want people to buy us wedding gifts and would rather that they keep their money for themselves or use it for the outfit. Edit, one of the low budget options was things like a normal floral / spring and summer dress many people would already own, with the addition of a flower crown or a belt or something like that, and it went up from there. For more masculine stuff, it was like a linen shirt with a piece of fabric tied around your waist or a belt. It was low-key, and I'm not super strict about it. Just not things like a cocktail dress, or a bodycon dress, or a formal suit and tie. Also, just going to add, excluding sister-in-law and our mother-in-law, our closest family and friends, having complained, and several people said that they are looking forward to it. So, it's more cousins, aunts, and uncles, or those sorts of levels of friends. They also haven't directly contacted us with their concerns, and we are hearing it through the grapevine. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. While in general I think it's better to have a suggested dress code than like strictly enforce it, I really don't see this as any different from saying formal attire only or something like that, which is a very common thing for weddings.
Yeah.
And I think especially since OP did include low budget options like the floral dresses and whatnot, it seems perfectly fair. And if OP wanted to, she could get some like inexpensive flower crowns, some rope, like they have rope from Dollar Tree you could use to make belts out of in the craft section. And like there's a lot of things, like she could add some things so people could have less of a cost associated with it, but it doesn't seem overly unreasonable.
Yeah, and that's my thought as well. It doesn't seem like this is overly onerous on the individuals who are going to be attending the wedding. And there was always the expectation that there's going to be some level of formality at a wedding or some level of cost associated with attending a wedding. And it seems like OP has done a great job at minimizing those costs. This may be less expensive than going to a traditional wedding, where some people go out of their way to rent a tuxedo, some people buy a new dress. It seems that OP and their partner have made this really not a burden at all, and I don't understand why people are complaining about it. I can understand that it might be, unorthodox. It's not necessarily the most common theme, but that also doesn't mean that it's going to be overly expensive or a burden for people.
Well, I think then that is probably what it boils down to more than anything. Because I imagine if they had, say a formal dress code, people wouldn't be throwing a fit as much because it's kind of expected. But because they don't respect the fandoms that OP and her partner love, they feel like upset and like, how dare you have me have to do weirdo stuff.
Yeah. How dare you force us into your lifestyle choices?
Well, and the thing is, like, how many people, like, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the traditional white wedding, and some people do absolutely love it, but how many people who don't love white weddings still go to them to support the people getting married?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people who don't necessarily want to sit through a church service or, show up in fancy attire or any number of things, the compromises they're willing to make because they love the couple.
Yeah.
And I feel like this should be the same deal. Like, even if you don't love the Renaissance Fair, you should love the couple enough that you're willing to show up and a little bit do something a little different.
I agree. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Hank Scorpio 112233 says, it shouldn't have to be said at this point in life, but quit making people play dumb games just because you're into dumb stuff. Many of us are tired of pretending to be into dumb stuff that only a few people are into. Get married like an adult and do your own stuff at home with your spouse who is also into dumb stuff. Imagine if I had a wedding and I made everyone dress up like ghosts in sheets because I like horror movies. Dumb, right?
Actually, I want to go to the Sheet Ghost wedding. I propose we have a virtual, I guess not wedding, but we could have a virtual Sheet Ghost party or something. Like, if you're into the Sheet Ghost idea, like we could have a costume contest for like the best Sheet Ghost or something. I love this idea, but I do not like that commenter. All you need to do to get married like an adult is be an adult and get married.
Yeah, I think that this person is hating on people who enjoy activities. It's kind of like those individuals who are like, oh, you need to grow up and stop playing this game or that game or stop collecting this or that because those are kid things. And I think that person really needs to lighten up and kind of get over themselves. You're not going to be interested in everything that another person's interested in. This wedding isn't about you. It is about the couple. And for you to say, oh, you need to grow up because you're being immature. No, they met at a Renaissance fair. It's literally part of who they are. And I think that this person is being overly judgmental. It's not really fair to the couple. And OP replies, I get this, and I suppose that it might be insulting, but I actually laughed. I would totally do that.
Yeah, me too, OP. Me too.
Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for adding sugar into my diabetic friend's food? Yes. I have this friend, Emily, not her real name, who I've known for 5 years. She was very easygoing, never overthinking, and never worrying about any kind of thing type of girl. 2 months ago, she accidentally discovered that she has diabetes while visiting the doctor for an unrelated problem. Now, she's just not the same old Emily. She overthinks everything that she eats. She started following these fitness, vegan, nutritionalist gurus on social media. We hang out almost every weekend for hours, and I love cooking and baking for friends and family. So she has asked me if I could substitute sugar for stevia for her portions. I said yes, but after looking at the prices, I never bought the stevia, and I just continued making the food normally. Plus, I don't feel like baking 2 separate portions because she doesn't tell the difference between them anyways. Also, I never used these artificial things before. I'm also sure that it's just another scam for money. I never told her that I didn't, but she never complained for any side effects. I feel a bit guilty, but at the end of the day, she's not overweight, she's in her early 20s, and she wouldn't have known that she had it if she didn't go to the doctor. Having a bit of sugar once a week won't kill her. She wasn't given a glucose monitor yet, so she doesn't even measure her sugars on a daily basis. I have family members with diabetes twice her age who still eat sweets, drink alcohol, and don't obsess over minor things like these. I told my boyfriend, and he thinks that I'm 100% in the wrong. So I wanted to see what Reddit thinks. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely the jerk. You are sabotaging your friend's health. Just because your family members are able to eat sugar and drink alcohol and whatnot and still be fine doesn't mean that applies to everyone who has diabetes. And also, it doesn't mean there won't be long-term repercussions if she's inadvertently eating sugar all this time. You're not a medical expert, I don't think. It doesn't sound like you are. And even if you are, you're not her doctor and you're not in charge of her medical care. And even if you were, she has expressed she does not want to eat sugar for her own health, and you made a promise to her you wouldn't do it and went behind her back. It's fine to say, stevia is too expensive, like, could you bring some for me? Or to say, oh, I really just like baking with sugar, maybe you could bring your own cupcakes or something like that. But to go behind her back and slip something into her food that she is not supposed to be having is sabotage.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, I think that really covers most of the points that I really wanted to say. The thing is that OP, you could have told her from the very beginning that you weren't willing to do this, but yet you continue to deceive her and make her think that she's actually eating sugar-free portions. And this also might give her the expectation that there are certain things that you can do to make sugar-free ones taste like sugared ones, right? So if she hasn't noticed the difference, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything going wrong. She might not have reported noticing any differences to you because maybe she is still trying to figure out diabetes, right? Like, she's only had this condition for a couple months. She might not be aware of what's normal and what is normal. And by you doing this to her, she's going to not be able to gain that insight that she needs in order to kind of judge her sugar levels. And I understand that it's expensive to buy these sugar substitutes, but again, like Amber said, it's not your choice, it's not your decision. This is her choice and her decision to not eat sugar. And it's wrong for you to take that choice away from her. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Also, if she goes into diabetic shock or something like that under your watch just because you chose not to tell her or inform her, then I hope that she sues you and you go to jail for assault.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that you have no idea what the long-term health repercussions of doing this are going to be. And OP's like, well, she doesn't have a glucose monitor, as if that somehow makes it better.
It actually makes it worse,
right?
Because then she can't see this.
Yeah, she has no idea that she's ingesting all this extra glucose, and that's not okay.
No, it really isn't. And Specialist Fox 5777 says, holy cow, you're the jerk. You shouldn't be feeling a little bit guilty. You should be feeling a lot guilty. How smug do you have to be to think that you know better than your friend about her own health? Many people who find out that they have diabetes try to ignore it and continue to live as they did pre-diagnosis. And things go horribly wrong. Your friend is being very active in learning how to do what's best for her and her condition, and it's unbelievably garbage of you to derail her instead of being supportive. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber allegedly has a joke.
Where do porcelain figures go to become famous?
Porcelain figures go to become famous to the 7-Eleven down the street because there's additions to some big show.
They go to Dollywood. Like Hollywood for dolls, not like the Dolly Parton place.
I suppose so. Don't go to Dollywood, go to Dollywood. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy fantastic Friday. Congratulations, folks. We made it to the end of the week. No more week, just the weekend. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on reasonable requests.
You should do your best to accommodate reasonable requests, and if you can't, you should be upfront about why you cannot accommodate them.
Yes, yes.
Don't poison your friends.
Don't poison your friends. That's always sound advice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.